In March, Town Council established the Mount Pleasant Green Space, Environment, Ecology, and Natural Resources Commission. The mission to address conservation, natural resources, flood resilience, and green space. Well, joining us to share more on what they hope to achieve and be an example for other local communities is Mount Pleasant Mayor Will Haynie and Olivia Flynn, Project Manager for the South Carolina State Ports Authority. Glad to have you both with us.
Thanks for having us.
Mr. Mayor, so glad to see you again.
Good to be back.
So you're making Mount Pleasant even more beautiful than it already is.
We're trying. We're trying very hard, and very proud of this. You know, by state law, towns have a planning commission that addresses everything that's built, the whole built environment. So with popular support and of elected officials and the citizens, it's time to have a commission made up of qualified professionals like Olivia here that addresses the natural environment. And so that's what this will do.
And I think that's what people love about Mount Pleasant is because you are still a town, but you're surrounded by so much nature. From we were talking Shem Creek to the ocean to Waterfront Park and so forth. And let me ask you this, Mr. Mayor. So the challenges, because there's always challenges in the process such as this. So where do you see those challenges? I'm sure in order to continually encourage those green spaces that there must be some challenges involved.
Well, from a practical and fiscal standpoint, and we just had experience with one aspect of this, and you know this better than I do, is resiliency is now not only something that you do to protect property and something that you do to avoid flooding. It figured into our recent bond rating when we issued the $50 million recreation bond that was approved by the voters in a referendum. They have to see a resiliency plan, not just something that you think about or talk about. You know, Shem Creek, that was an ad hoc task force, and it was great. I supported it, did good work. We now have a standing committee of council and a standing commission of our citizens that will address it. And green space, of course, figures into that because green space helps, you know, absorb water, and trees take up so much water every day. The other is just to protect the natural resources we have, including water resources. Shem Creek, if you saw what came out this past week, Charleston Waterkeeper goes out and does a test, and the upper reaches of Shem Creek is always in the red zone. So we now have a $10 million grant to Mount Pleasant Waterworks, and Waterworks, the town and the county, have this multilateral approach to clean all that up. We need help from the Green Commission.
Right, yes, exactly. And when we're talking about green spaces, we're not just talking about parks necessarily. What else does it include?
Well, it can include large tracts of land that are still forested, that aren't developed. Green spaces could also be green infrastructure that's used to control stormwater runoff, so providing more pervious area, greenway, bioswales, anything to that nature that can help.
So when people are applying for permits to build in Mount Pleasant, which can be a rigorous process, are you now implementing certain guardrails to ensure that these buildings are keeping up with that green initiative?
We as council, the Green Commission, it does not have an authority to approve or disapprove things. They advise council, and we just passed our LID, low impact development standards, so you will see much greener development in Mount Pleasant. And as things go, and I first got elected council in 2015, so here I am now in my second term as mayor. I have seen a public shift, even in the development community, that people now value greener development and value more green space and less stormwater runoff. And that's what our low impact development standards will do. And with their help, we will improve those and get greater buy-in in the community.
Yeah, and speaking of which, you can join that buy-in. This is every third Tuesday. They have meetings every single month at 3 p.m. at the Municipal Complex in Mount Pleasant, July 18th and August 15th, and then we've got a couple more coming up in the fall. So we're going to put that information up on the screen. Make sure you go and put in your 2 cents. You know, it's an entire community that it's requiring to make this really a wonderful, livable space.
Right, and council is not going to dictate to the Green Commission what they talk about, what they do. There will be back and forth, but they will look at things like we have a new parking lot that we bought, and we're trying to make it greener, make it a sort of a case study in how to green up an existing parking lot, and just the ideas that they shared from their experience. We now have a great project.
That sounds great. Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor, for joining us, and thank you, Olivia.
Thank you.
Nice to have you on the show. We're back after this.